Willow Creek was a town steeped in folklore and whispers, a place where the wind carried tales of forgotten spirits and the old houses held secrets within their weathered walls. I, Elias Thorne, a writer seeking inspiration, found myself drawn to its enigmatic charm. I rented an old Victorian mansion, a relic of a bygone era, perched on the edge of the town's sprawling, ancient cemetery. The house, known locally as Whispering Walls, lived up to its name. The old timber groaned under the weight of years, and the wind, whistling through the gaps in the window frames, seemed to carry hushed conversations. The first few days were idyllic. I explored the town, its cobblestone streets and quaint shops, absorbing the atmosphere like a sponge. But as the days turned into nights, an unsettling feeling began to creep into my bones. It started subtly. A faint scratching sound from within the walls, a whisper too indistinct to understand. I dismissed it as the house settling, the old pipes creaking. But the sounds grew more frequent, more insistent. The scratching became a rhythmic tapping, and the whispers, though still unintelligible, seemed to carry a sense of urgency. One night, as a storm raged outside, the house seemed to come alive. The wind howled like a tormented spirit, and the rain lashed against the windows like angry fists. The tapping from within the walls grew louder, more frantic. It was as if something was trapped, desperately trying to escape. The whispers, now a cacophony of hushed voices, filled the house, swirling around me like a ghostly vortex. I ventured into the old library, a room lined with dusty tomes and forgotten manuscripts. The air was thick with the scent of aged paper and decay. As I ran my fingers along the spines of the books, a cold draft swept through the room, extinguishing the flickering candlelight. In the darkness, the whispers intensified, surrounding me, pressing in on me like a suffocating shroud. Suddenly, a single, clear voice pierced through the cacophony. It was a woman's voice, soft and melancholic, whispering my name. Elias! It echoed through the room, sending shivers down my spine. I spun around, searching for the source of the voice, but there was nothing, only the swirling shadows and the incessant whispers. The next day, I decided to delve into the history of the house. I visited the town's historical society, a small, dusty museum filled with artifacts and records. The old librarian, a woman with eyes as deep and knowing as the town's history, told me the story of Whispering Walls. The house, she revealed, had been the home of a wealthy family, the Blackwoods. But their story was marred by tragedy. The youngest daughter, Eliza, had mysteriously disappeared one stormy night, her body never found. The house had been abandoned, left to the whispers of its tragic past. The librarian showed me an old portrait of Eliza, a young woman with hauntingly beautiful eyes and a melancholic smile. As I gazed at her image, a sense of unease washed over me. It was as if her eyes were following me, her gaze piercing through the canvas. That night, the whispers were louder than ever. They seemed to emanate from the walls of my bedroom, surrounding me, suffocating me. I felt a cold presence in the room, a sense of being watched. I pulled the covers over my head, trying to block out the sounds, but the whispers followed me, seeping into my mind. Suddenly, a cold hand grasped my arm, sending a jolt of terror through me. I screamed, throwing off the covers, and saw a faint, translucent figure standing at the foot of my bed. It was Eliza, her eyes filled with sorrow, her lips moving, whispering words I couldn't understand. The figure faded away, leaving me trembling in the darkness. I knew then that the whispers were not just sounds, but a desperate plea, a cry for help. Eliza's spirit was trapped, her voice echoing through the walls, seeking release. I spent the next few days researching Eliza's disappearance, searching for clues in old newspapers and town records. I discovered that Eliza had been secretly in love with a young gardener, a man from a lower social class. Their relationship had been forbidden, and it was rumored that her family had something to do with her disappearance. I decided to investigate the cemetery, the sprawling expanse of ancient tombstones that bordered the house. I felt drawn to a particular section, a cluster of overgrown graves hidden beneath a canopy of gnarled trees. As I cleared away the overgrown vines, I discovered a small, unmarked grave that a sense of dread washed over me. I felt a connection to this grave, a feeling that it held the key to Eliza's disappearance. I returned to the Historical Society and found a map of the cemetery from the time of Eliza's disappearance. The unmarked grave was located in the Blackwood family plot. I returned to the cemetery that night, armed with a shovel and a lantern. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. As I began to dig, the whispers intensified, swirling around me like a ghostly chorus. I felt a sense of urgency, a feeling that I was close to uncovering the truth. After hours of digging, I unearthed a wooden box, its surface weathered and cracked. I opened the box, and inside, I found a small, tarnished locket and a faded letter. The letter, written in Eliza's handwriting, revealed the truth. She had been pregnant with the gardener's child, and her family, fearing the scandal, had murdered her and buried her in the unmarked grave. The locket contained a picture of Eliza and her lover, their faces filled with love and hope. As I read the letter, a sense of rage and sorrow washed over me. Eliza's spirit had been trapped, her voice silenced, her story buried beneath the weight of her family's secrets. I knew then that I had to bring her story to light, to give her a voice, to set her spirit free. I returned to the house, the locket and letter clutched in my hand. I placed them on Eliza's portrait, and as I did, the whispers ceased. A sense of peace filled the house, a feeling of release. Eliza's spirit was finally free, her story told. I left Willow Creek the next day, the whispers of the town fading behind me. But I carried Eliza's story with me, a reminder of the secrets that lie hidden beneath the surface, the voices that echo through the walls of time.